Hello, my loves, and welcome back to another episode of Devotional. I'm so happy that you're here, and thank you for just taking the time to listen. It means so much to me. Let's get right into it. I was having a conversation with one of my clients today, just a few minutes ago, actually, and I was like, oh my God, I gotta hop on and make an episode about this. So, this is literally not planned. A lot of my episodes aren't really planned, and they're very much channeled and just free spoken. But anyway, what I wanted to talk about was like if you are being driven by people pleasing and the people pleasing is coming from an abandonment wound, right? And this can, you guys know I talk about intimacy, but I want to relate this to everyday life stuff, decisions that you might be encountering that you might possibly be making from that space of that abandonment wound or people pleasing wound, right? So, the first thing is let's just acknowledge it for what it is. You know that people pleasing and the wound of being abandoned or rejected, that it can come from a place, most likely it comes from a place of deep trauma where this has happened to you before, where maybe you've possibly walked on eggshells, maybe you've had a narcissistic person in your life who made you feel like you have to be perfect, or if you fuck up, if you make one mistake, like that's it. How my client put it, she said something like, yeah, I feel like if I make one mistake, I'm going in the burn book. Okay, and it made me LOL so hard. Not that she feels like that, but just the reference was perfect. So if you feel like you're going into the burn book, like, I want you to ask yourself, what's the fear underneath if I did make the mistake? What's the fear underneath if, like I did show up imperfectly? Okay. And really asking yourself, would that make you less worthy? Because if you were to say you had your best friend that you love with all your life, say you had a Brittany in your life, y'all know I'm going to shout my Brittany out. But say you had your Brittany in your life, okay? And she came to you and she's like, hey, I'm working so hard at work, or hey, like I'm showing up in my relationship, but I made a mistake. Like maybe I lost it on my partner. Maybe I yelled. Maybe I said some things that I didn't mean. In the heat of the moment with the overwhelming of emotions. And what would you tell your best friend? Because I know for a fact, y'all not going to be talking to my Brittany like she's some mistake whore. And when I say that, all of us are imperfect and we have these patterns that are ingrained from the environment that we've grown up in. Whether the environment that we grew up in is something that we chose or did not choose, a lot of the time it's something that we didn't choose, right? And, oh, sorry, something's popping up on my screen. Okay, it's gone. So whether it's something that we chose or something that we didn't choose, these things are still ingrained into us. And if you're somebody who's done the work in your healing journey, you've probably unlearned a lot already, and you haven't given yourself enough credit for it. Okay? I see this with all my clients. I see this with myself sometimes where I'm like, damn, I've come a long way, and I don't even give myself credit for that. Sometimes that happens for me as well. And so if we continue to do the healing work, one thing, especially if you're a people pleaser, especially if you're afraid that you're going to be abandoned or rejected, you need to give yourself credit for how far you've come. Because if you don't acknowledge that and work, and when you can acknowledge that, you're going to have more compassion for yourself. Because you're going to say, wow, I worked so fucking hard to get where I am today. And I also know what that past version of me was going through and how she thought, how she felt in her body. The identity that she is embodying, you're a completely different identity than you were 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, however, even last year, even last month. Your identity is constantly evolving, right? Especially if you're somebody who does the work and is very intentional about it. And so when you can remind yourself of that, it's very it's going to be natural for you when you continue to do this and make a habit of this, of reminding yourself how far you've come, okay, that you're going to have more compassion for yourself. Okay, because one, you're acknowledging, okay, I possibly made a mistake. I possibly made a decision that I'm not very happy with. I possibly showed up in my relationship the way that I wouldn't ideally want to show up. And you can take accountability. And then you can also say, I've also come a really long way. Because if we don't acknowledge what we've been through, how far we've come, am I still recording? My computer. Oh, yep. We're just a little delayed. Sorry, I'm like looking at myself on the computer and it's freezing for God knows what reason. It's tripping me out. Anyway, we're going to get back to recording. Okay. So when you can acknowledge that journey that you've been on, then it does become natural to you to have more compassion for yourself. And it also comes natural to you to know, okay, yeah, like maybe I made a mistake, maybe I fucked up, maybe I made the decision that isn't in alignment with my actual values and morals and beliefs. Or maybe I made a decision that's in alignment with what I'm working towards. Maybe I haven't fully embodied it yet, but I'm working towards that. Right? And having those acknowledgements is what's going to change the game for you and help you to come out of that people pleasing, because really what the people pleasing, the root of that is the fear of abandonment, the fear of rejection, the fear of not being accepted, not being loved, the fear of, oh, I'm wrong because I made a mistake. We are all human beings living a human experience. There's nobody exempt from mistakes. And I believe, and I've seen that what changes this, what helps people come out of the people pleasing, whether that be in relationship, in your career, in your job, in your friendships, the relationship dynamic with your family, is coming back, one, to that self-trust, trusting yourself. Okay, even if I made a wrong turn, I'm gonna fucking bounce back. What's the solution for this? How can I make sure that I navigate this differently? Okay. And how can I forgive myself for making a decision that doesn't feel in alignment for me, or showing up in a way that doesn't feel in alignment? And now this is all really simple things to ask yourself, but trust me, not enough of y'all are doing that. Okay, and this with so much fucking love, but not enough of you are asking yourself these simple questions. Okay, we're spending more time beating ourselves up and saying, why did I do that? Oh my God, I'm an idiot, or I'm a screw up, or I'm being paranoid, I'm crashing out. Be so mindful with that language that you're using too, because if that's your default of, okay, I people please, and then, oh, I made a mistake, or I did something that wasn't in alignment, and then you crash out, or you're panicking. Okay, how does somebody who has a good relationship with being imperfectly human, who has a relationship that says, yeah, you know what, I made a mistake, and okay, and what? So what? So what, you made a fucking mistake? How are we going to fix it? It is in the repair piece that makes it so much more important. That's going to build on your character. That's going to build on how you feel about yourself, how you trust yourself. Because let me tell you, and I know this is easier said than done, and I know that it's hard, and we all catch ourselves in this, myself included. But I'm telling you, that spiraling in self-shaming yourself, in worrying, okay, that's a really big one. And again, none of us are exempt from that. But I really think that if you are able to catch how long you're in this for, let yourself feel it. I'm not telling you to suppress it, to ignore it. Let yourself feel it. And then decide, am I going to continue to show up in this pattern of behavior? Or am I going to be in my leadership And am I going to take control of my life and say, you know what? People pleasing used to be something that was a part of my identity that I needed to use to survive. Because at one point, that's what you needed to use to survive. Physically survive, emotionally survive, because you didn't know any better. And now you do. And so can we take this inner wisdom that you have? Can we take the inner knowledge that you have? And also your body wisdom and say, you know what? I know how to navigate through this. I've done this before so many times. And can we start building a different relationship with honoring that you had that people-pleasing part of yourself and also separating yourself from it too? You're more than somebody who was just a people pleaser. And through that separation process, it is highly crucial, highly important for you to understand and to get really clear on who you want to become. The identity that you want to create, the new nervous system that you want to rewire, the new thought patterns you want to have. So does that look like, oh, when I make a mistake, yeah, maybe I feel my emotions and then I'm like, all right, bitch, let's fucking go. Let's fucking do this. I understand where I went wrong. Okay. And also too, okay, this is an exercise I want you to do. This is a download that's coming in, okay? What are you defining as mistakes? Okay? Because we know, especially if you're a people pleaser or a recovering people pleaser, the mistakes, the quote unquote mistakes, are possibly not even mistakes, but things that have been told you are mistakes, things that have been told you that are wrong about you. So are these actually mistakes, or are these pieces of yourself that you've been suppressing that now it feels wrong to be this because you've been suppressing, because you've been told that it's wrong to be this part of you? What are you defining as mistakes? Yeah, sometimes it really is a mistake. Okay, again, like none of us are exempt from that. And sometimes it's our perception of the actual situation. For example, and this is a big one, setting a boundary and feeling like you're mean. Okay, I hear this from so many fucking people, and I've experienced it myself in the past. When I first started setting boundaries, I was like, oh my God, I feel like the most horrible person in this world. And I just remember too, I would go back on my boundaries. I would say sorry for setting a boundary and take it back because I'm just like, oh my God, I don't want this other person to think I'm mean. You're not mean for setting a boundary. Okay, that's your perception of it. And if somebody is perceiving your boundary as you being mean, okay, that's not a you problem. That's a them problem. That's an inner problem that they need to resolve for themselves, because we know that people who are healthy, okay, people who have looked at themselves and done the work, that even if they don't like the boundary, they're going to respect it because that's the boundary that you set. Right? Especially, and we're talking about boundaries that are like reasonable and understandable and healthy. Okay, we're not talking about like somebody setting a boundary and that actually like being something like, for example, someone threatening you and like them thinking that's setting a boundary. Okay, that's not setting a boundary, that's threatening somebody. Or there are people who think that they're setting a boundary and it's spiteful and it just has underlying intentions. Your boundaries are for you. It's not to control another person, right? It's for you. It's to create safety for you. Right? And that doesn't make you mean. If you are creating safety for yourself and you are looking at your life and saying, I'm available for this, I'm not available for this, how does that make you mean? You are being discerning of your energy. You're being discerning of your time, of your love. Right? And we need to understand that. So I'm giving you this example, especially the boundary setting one, because this comes up so much of, oh, I just feel so mean setting a boundary. I feel like a bitch. Okay, you're not. And even if you are, be a bitch. It's okay. be a fucking bitch. Sometimes we gotta be a bitch. And that doesn't mean that we're being mean to people on purpose. Sometimes our boundaries, okay, and this is something, if you're a people pleaser or a recovering people pleaser, also, I don't even want you to identify as that anymore, okay? We're going to use the term like have people pleasing qualities or had people pleasing qualities, okay? Because the whole of you is not a people pleaser. And if we continue to say, I'm a people pleaser, I'm a recovering people pleaser, I'm a this, I'm a that, the I am statements, you're just reaffirming that. Okay, so I'm catching myself in this episode as well too, because I don't want you guys to be reaffirming that, especially if this is something that you want to come out of, right? What's going to be a more empowering term for you to refer to yourself as? Okay. So I want you to, number one, when those people-pleasing tendencies come up, ask yourself, what's the fear underneath this? Why am I showing up in these people-pleasing tendencies? What's coming up for me here? Okay. And that might be the fear of abandonment, fear of being rejected, fear of not being loved, fear of losing your community, your family. And then I want you to ask yourself, what's going to be the most helpful for you as you move through the transformation and the embodiment to this next identity that you're creating, into the next era of your life that you're creating? And maybe you have to get clear on that first before you do any of this piece, okay? Because when you have that clarity, you're going to be moving with intention. And you're going to see, okay, somebody who's confident and surrounds herself with emotional safety, she's not tolerating any emotional abuse. She's not tolerating people talking shit about her. She's not tolerating people talking shit about other people and being mean. Because it's not just about her, right? It's like when we surround ourselves with people, it's about how they're treating other people too, not just if they're just nice to us. That's like going out with somebody who's just nice to you, but then is so fucking mean to the waiter or the waitress or the janitor or people in general. But it's like, oh, but they're so nice to me. Yeah, that's great. And we love you getting great treatment. We love you getting all of that. And we also want to make sure that we're choosing people who are nice to the world as well too. And so when we have this clear identity that we're moving towards, and we start to embody those traits, embody that lifestyle, think about the lifestyle that they have. Okay, does that look like they're going to the gym? Does it look like they're eating healthy? Does it look like they're journaling and meditating every day? Does it look like they're getting their steps in? Does it look, all of these are health related because you know who's hosting this podcast. Y'all know I'm all about that. But if you're trying to embody that identity, you got to get really clear on it. And then you have to decide, what boundaries am I going to be setting? And if that fear, okay, we're going to come back to that root fear comes up. Ask yourself, okay, what is the worst if that happens? What is the worst if this person rejects me or leaves me? What is the worst if I make this mistake? And that can be scary to explore. It can also be really eye-opening, and then you can see, okay, it's really unlikely that this is going to happen. But our brain likes to play tricks on us to try and keep us quote unquote safe, right? And it'll spiral out to the worst case scenario, thinking we're going to be left to die, whether that's the breakup, whether that's financial stuff. And truly, at the end of the day, we all have resources to figure this shit out. Okay, and I truly believe that with the resources and with the inner work, embodying the identity and practicing it, it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen overnight. And so can you stay committed to that? Because you're choosing right now. You might think, oh my God, that's so hard. It's so hard to unlearn. Yeah, but choose your heart. Are you going to commit to staying in these belief systems that make you feel like shit for the rest of your life? Are you going to commit to the people-pleasing tendencies that are literally killing your soul, destroying your soul? Or are you going to commit to getting stretched a little bit outside of your comfort zone? Are you going to commit to bettering your inner world so that you can be on your way to actually feeling better in your body, in your love life, in your career? Which commitment are you going to choose? Because, and I'm just going to say this as it is, and I say this with so much love, but we can get so wrapped up in these identities of people pleasing, of attachment style, the attachment style that we are, like all of the labels, right? And we also have free will to choose and say, actually, fuck that. Actually, that's not who I am. And anybody who thinks that about me can, you can finish that sentence for me. You can finish that sentence for me. Y'all know what I was going to say, but I'm not going to say it. So choose your commitment. Just because this has been ingrained into you, it doesn't mean you can't unlearn it. And your effort and intention towards unlearning it is the most important thing. Even in times when it feels impossible, don't fucking give up on yourself. Don't give up on yourself, because you have so much to live for and experience. And another thing you have to ask yourself is, how do you want to experience it? What body would you want to experience it in? Do you want to experience it in the body that's anxious all the time? That's constantly crashing out? Or do you want to choose the commitment piece of, okay, I'm going to go all in on this. I'm going to go all in on this, but I'm also going to have boundaries around it too, so that I'm not consumed by the healing work, because that's also not good. But I'm going to go all in on this because I'm done being the fucking people pleaser. I'm done with giving my power away and letting other people have control over my actions. I'm done with whatever people fucking think about me. And even if you have to recommit and recommit each time, do that. Because there's going to be a day where you wake up and you won't have to recommit. And it will just be natural to you. It will just all of a sudden be a lifestyle for you. I remember, this has nothing to do with people pleasing, but it does have to do with the commitment piece of it. And it can be translated into the people pleasing piece and doing the inner work. But I remember when I first started going to the gym, and I would sign up for the membership, pay for it annually, and go 3 times a year. Okay, this was like many years ago. Or I'd sign up for the course and not finish it. Okay. That was a choice, even though I didn't think it was at the time. And I had to really ask myself, what is your priority right now? Is your health your priority? Is gaining more knowledge in what you're teaching a priority to you? And it was only until I made it and chose it as a priority that it became a lifestyle for me. Now, I am a frequent gym goer. Okay, I'm known for that. People know that I go to the gym. People know that I enjoy it. People know it's a part of my lifestyle. People talk to me about it all the time because they see that I'm embodied in it. Now, and I don't even claim to be perfect. I don't have the perfect body. Nobody does. But I don't have the perfect body. I'm still working on building my muscle. Okay. I eat healthy, but I also enjoy treats. I just ate some fucking ice cream. Am I going to beat myself up after that? Beat myself up for it and say, oh my God, people know that I ate the ice cream and they know that I go to the gym. They're going to think I'm a fucking fraud. They're going to think that I'm not preaching what I claim myself to be. Oh my God, people are going to hate me for this. No, I don't give a fuck. I literally was eating ice cream on my Instagram stories the other day from the tub. I don't give a fuck. Okay. Now I'm giving you this as an example because this can be translated into intimacy, where it's like you might be performing and thinking, okay, I have to be all these things as to what a good girlfriend, what a good boyfriend, what a good wife, what a good spouse is. And if I'm not, if I fuck up even just a little bit, I'm going in the burn book, just like my client said. I love that reference. Okay, I'm going in the burn book. No, that is not what the life journey is about. You have come to this earth, experienced what it's like to be a people pleaser so that you can experience the fucking opposite of it and enjoy the journey of unlearning it. And maybe sometimes you have to go to the opposite end of that. Like, I know too, I'm really using a lot of health journey examples in this episode, but I remember at the beginning of my health journey, I went vegan. I was vegan for actually a long time and I loved it. It served my life for the time that it needed to, and I'm no longer vegan. But anyway, COVID hit. I was like, I'm not trying to get sick. I'm trying to get into the healthiest shape that I can. And I did what I had to do. I stopped eating meat. I went full on veggies. I was learning about protein intake as a vegan, supplementing, all those things. And I started working out at home. I lost a lot of weight. Because I stopped eating meat, I think. But apart from that, it taught me about discipline. It taught me about rituals, because I was also getting up early every morning and practicing my meditation, my yoga, my journaling. And I made my life a fucking altar. I was devoting to myself throughout this time, and I still do that. It just looks different now. And this taught me, because before I was on the other end, I was fucking eating junk all the time, drinking all the time. And I did a lot of that as a coping mechanism. And I also did a lot of that because I just thought if I stopped, then I wouldn't have the same friends. People would think that I'm weird for not drinking. People think I'm weird for not eating meat. And yeah, people did. Oh, I heard about it. I fucking heard about it. And it annoyed me. And also too, in those moments where I could have caved and I could have said, yep, when people were telling me, oh, you just need to eat meat. In that moment, that wasn't in alignment with what my goals were and what my values were. And I could have said, yeah, I'm just going to have the meat. Yeah, I'll just have the drink. People were telling me, oh, you need to loosen up. You're too serious about your health. You're too serious about that. Have some fun. And for me, now my definition of fun had changed. I was like, me going to the gym, waking up without the hangover, being able to wake up on a Sunday and go to the gym and pour into myself and not feel like shit. That's fun for me. Because my priorities changed. And I chose that. And I chose to stay convicted in it and grounded in it. And I had to go to that place where I stopped eating the meat. I stopped doing a lot of things because I needed to go to that other end to be able to be where I'm at now, which now my body's changed. Life has changed. Priorities have changed, where I eat meat. I still don't drink. I don't think I will ever go back to that. But I value my health. And that wasn't something that was a part of my lifestyle before. And now it is. And it's the same thing. Like, you have to build that muscle on going against the grain. Because I was just talking about this with my mentor today. Shout out to Nora. Okay, I was just about to be like, Nora, the love of my life. She is one of the loves of my life. We're just going to call it as it is. We're going to call it as it is. Nora, the love of my life. But I was talking to Nora, and I was sharing with her something that was like on my mind. I was like, oh my gosh, I feel different from everybody in that I'm not in the same place as them. And she's like, yeah, because you're doing things that the average person doesn't do. You guys would be so surprised. The average person is actually a people pleaser. You might not see it in the way that it shows up for you. I think when we think people pleasers, we think somebody is a yes man. And yes, it shows up as that as well too, where somebody doesn't have any boundaries. They just say yes to things that they actually don't want to do. Excuse me. But people pleasing actually shows up in a lot of different ways. Okay, I've worked with clients where we've gone back to their past, and I've pulled out these patterns because I just would be so curious. I've had a client, and he had a very tough exterior. You would never think that he was a people pleaser, and there were still tendencies that came up quite often for him. But you would never think that because of his tough exterior, right? People pleasing doesn't just show up in our actions, it shows up in our thoughts. And so this client, he was constantly thinking about what other people would think about him if he did this, if the smallest things, right? And that is a form of people pleasing because you're constantly thinking about what other people are going to be pleased by or what they're going to be unpleased by. And so majority of people show up as people pleasers. And again, with this same client too, like we pulled that out from his childhood, from things that happened to him as a child and the response that he had to those traumatic events. And it was people pleasing tendencies to keep himself safe. And maybe that warped throughout his life and showed up differently. But underneath, at the root, there was still that worry about what other people are going to think. And so this is what I mean. You might think like you're the only one who's a people pleaser. Yours just might be apparent in different ways than another person. And another question to ask yourself. A lot of us get off on being special. Okay? If we know that majority of people, average person, is a people pleaser. Bitch, do you want to be average? No, you fucking don't. Answering that for you don't want to be average. Absolutely not. Now, does that mean you're not going to people please ever? No. Again, these ingrained patterns are ingrained into us, okay? They might show up and show us something that we might need to heal a little bit deeper or look at. Or maybe it's something that we see it and we're like, okay, fuck, there it is again. Okay, I'm aware of it and like we're just going to do things differently, okay? But that's how you break a pattern, is just you keep showing up, even if it shows up again for you, try to fucking bring you back. And you show up and you're like, actually, no. Or maybe there's a time that you do give into it and you say, you know what? I'm doing it differently from now on. And you do that over and over again. Don't fucking give up. You don't have to stay in this identity as a people pleaser. And trust me, you might think that you're doing other people a favor when you do that, but you're not. You doing things, showing up in ways, being afraid to make mistakes. Okay, I want you to place your soul as priority and ask yourself, what is this going to do for my soul? Is this going to feed my soul? Is this going to empower my soul? Or is this going to chip away at it? And when you can make decisions through that, you're going to come out of the people-pleasing tendency, because your soul is not a people pleaser. Your soul is something that is so strong and fierce, and that's why you feel things the way that you do, because that is your soul speaking to you through your emotions. Your soul is not a people pleaser. And it's showing you the way by amplifying certain things. If you're listening to this, you're probably somebody who feels very deeply, okay? Because I'm somebody who feels very deeply. I attract people who feel very deeply, okay? And so if you feel very deeply, just know that is your soul speaking to you, saying, hey, something needs to shift. We got to go in this direction. This is not the right way. We got to go in this direction. Because that's how it's getting your attention. And so if you're continuing to show up in those people-pleasing patterns, and you know it's not feeling good inside, and it's eating at you, and you're saying, I just wish I could use my voice. I just wish I could stand up for myself. I just wish I could be myself. I just wish I could take a fucking deep breath. That's your soul saying, bitch, listen up. I'm here. I'm present. Follow your soul. Don't follow other people's opinions about you. And I promise you, Sometimes the soul's path isn't the most fun. It can be heartbreaking. It can be liberating. It can be confusing as fuck. It can be all of the things. But that's also how we build a beautiful relationship to ourself, to our soul, to our dreams, to intimacy, to the lives that we're creating. Because our soul is taking us through this multitude of experiences to build on our character, to get us to where we are for the next stage of our life that we have been asking for. And let me tell you, especially if you're listening to this right now, this stage is asking you to drop the people-pleasing identity or to shed layers of it, because it is your fucking time now. You've already been through so much. Okay? And it's time to start living for yourself. And I promise you, it is going to bring you the life, the partner, the thoughts, the way that you feel in your body, the safety that you've been yearning for and desiring. And you deserve that too. So, I hope that this served your heart in the best way possible, and have patience and compassion with yourself through the unlearning, through the shedding of the people-pleasing identity. Okay? Find the root fear of where this is coming from. Is it the abandonment? Is it the rejection? Is it the fear of not being accepted? Okay, get clear on the identity that you're becoming and start to set those boundaries. Start to be discerning. And start creating the life that you know you're destined for. I know you're destined for it. And I tell you from experience, because I would not be speaking into this mic with so much fucking conviction if I haven't been through it myself. My life was very different 7 years ago. I believe in you, and I promise you that on the other side of this, it's all going to be more than okay. It's going to be better than you imagined. I'm so excited for you. I have 2 one-on-one spots open. If you are somebody who is working on your confidence and you feel like there's lots that kind of come up in your mind, lots of noise throughout the day as you're doing your daily tasks, the mundane daily tasks, or right before you go to bed, you're thinking about, oh my God, like, how can I shift this? I'm telling you, it is from building a different relationship with your body, with your mind, understanding your body's signals, okay? Understanding how to embody a different identity, and having the patience for this journey. And this is everything that I do in my one-on-ones. And I would love to have you as a client. Send me a DM on Instagram and reach out. Let's chat to see if we're going to be a good fit for each other. Okay, my love, if this episode has touched your heart in any way, I would love for you to share it to your stories, share it with a friend, another friend who might be experiencing some people-pleasing tendencies, and allow them to receive this channeled message and the wisdom in this episode, because trust me, if you're going through it, somebody else probably is too. Anyway, I love you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in. It would mean the world to me if you shared this, wrote a review, rated the podcast, left a comment. I love to hear it all. And always DM me and tell me what you've taken away from the episode. I love you. Have a beautiful day, night, evening, afternoon, whenever you're watching this.